And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at Dragonstone Mine, and I don't know if that's like Dragonstone going into a mine or if it's a play on Dragonstone Mine. But anyway, in this game, players are going to have a little thing here with rods on it, and you're going to be dropping gems onto it. In fact, when you first see it, you might think, hey, that looks like an art project. I went and found the dowels, put them in, drilled some holes in, put these in, and then found these little beads with holes in them that you can buy at the hobby shop and put them on. But the game itself is about mining gems from a mine or whatever and trying to get color stacks on top of your thing. Let's take a look at how it works. There's three versions of this game, and all are very similar in how actually they're pretty much all the same game with minor variations, but they all score the same way. Each person's going to have one of these in front of them. The game will end when one of them's full, and then players are going to score 1 point for every gem they have. If they have a column of 5 of the same color, they're going to get bonus points of that. Usually it's 5 points, but in one game it's 7 points. If they have one of each color, that's another bonus that you can get. 5 points. And then when you look from above, it's called rainbow from above, if you can see all 5 colors on the top. So you see here, I see there's green, red, yellow, white, and blue. That's another bonus of points. And so that's basically how you're going to score. Now, when players are playing, they're either going to start with nothing or they'll start with a couple gems that they draw from the bag and they drop down. And like I said, the game is going to end when one person has finished their towers where it's completely full, and in fact if they get extra gems they just lay them next to the side and those will count as extra points at the end of the game. Now on a player's turn they're usually going to mine a gem. That means to reach into the bag and pull out a gem. You will then follow the color rule. There's a card here that explains what the color rule for each one is. So for example, if you get the red one, you stick it on someone else's tower, not your own. If you get the blue one, you put it on your tower and then you get to draw another gem. If you get the yellow one, you're going to keep drawing from the bag until you get 2 that are the same color. There, I got 2 yellows, and then you put them all on your tower. If you get the white, well, nothing. Just put it on your tower. If you get the green, put on your tower, and then you get to draw a gem for each other player and put one on their tower. So these are color rules. There's also terminology in this game in case you get confused, which seems possible. Mining, take a gem from the bag. Stacking, put one on top of your stacks. Blasting, put it on top of someone else's. Steal, take someone from someone else's. However, if they have 5 all the way up to the top, you can't steal from them anymore, etc., etc., etc. So, players are going to be usually drawing and doing that. That's the basic game. When you go to the level 1 or level 2, you're also going to be playing cards. Now, whenever you play a card, you're going to have to pay the gem cost at the top, and it has to come from your tower. So let's say this is here. I could pay that yellow gem there to play this card, which lets me mine 5 gems from the bag, stack 3 of them, put the other 2 back in the bag. But if I had 2 gems, I could mine 7, stack 5, and put the others back in the bag. And if I have 3 gems of any color, I can mine and stack 5 gems. So you can see the more you pay, for example, each opponent unstacks and gives you 2 gems. Stack them, then mine and stack 2 more. That's a ruby explosion. So the more that the gems cost. So in some games, you're just going to have these cards and play them and draw new ones. In the most advanced game, there'll be cards here in front of you that you can draw into your hand so that you can play them. And that's pretty much the whole game. You're just going to, here's the pot of gold, mine and stack 10. You're able to pull this off. You're going to do pretty well for yourself. And I already explained to you how to get points. That's how you play the game. Wow, okay. Now remember at the beginning I talked about how I always joke when I see these games. It's like, oh, they went to the hobby store and they're like, ooh, beads, let's make a game about that. But I really feel like in this situation, that's what happened. Now, the idea of dropping beads on here and trying to get them in the right colors is interesting, but there's a few problems. First of all, rules. These rules are really, really bad. I mean, I had to keep... They have 3 levels of games. Rules level, smiley face for non-readers. And then there's words. I guess that means for you to explain to other people. I guess that means basically you're playing without the cards. Okay, fine. Although if you're going to teach the kids the rules, you can just teach them what the cards do. But then the second one is basically draw a card, throw one. But each one explains the rules. They explain the scoring, but the scoring is almost always the same. I don't know why they didn't explain the rules of the game and say in an advanced game you change a couple things. And setup, like the first rules thing, doesn't even explain setup. I don't even know how setup works. I'm assuming you just put a thing in front of you and you start dropping things. And then there's rules here, there's rules here, there's rules on these cards that tell you, okay, this is what this means. And they're all over the place. It's a simple little game. I shouldn't have to study the rules for a while to figure it out. So that's problematic. Secondly, this game is so random. So random. It's like, ooh, the color rules. Yeah, what that means, if you draw a red gem, put on someone else's tower, your turn's over. If you draw the green one, give everyone else a gem, mess them over. If you draw a white one, nothing happens. If you draw the yellow one, you're lucky, you get lots of gems. It's just really weird. It's like, I'm drawing one, ooh. Now, where you put the gems on your tower and what gems you choose to spend are good, but if you play, especially with more than 2 players, everyone else is going to be sending gems to your tower, so they're going to deliberately be putting them on top of your tower. Now, instead of your turn, instead of drawing a gem from the bag and doing the color rule, you can move the gem from the top of one thing to the top of another. That's not very exciting, and again, someone else in their next turn can mess it up. You're way better off using these extremely powerful cards, which are crazy powerful. This game is like, because you draw a card like, oh, mine 8 gems. Next person's like, oh, I'm taking 4 of your gems away. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and it's so random. It's just a big mess. Again, I know the response to something like this is, Tom, this is a light family game. This is fun for people. But you know what? I'm tired of using that as an excuse for bad games. I mean, here we have a game which could be interesting. There are games that use color gems for interesting and strategic things. Think Splendor. Splendor is a game that has gems of different colors. It uses those to buy cards. It's a very simple game. It's good for families, and yet offers lots of strategic and tactical choices and really works well. Can be taught to children, and yet offers depth to play. This one has no depth. It's almost like the cards were randomly made. You draw random colors. There's nothing you can do to control that. You don't control your destiny. I'm not opposed to luck. Luck is fine. But in this game, it's just a mess. And you are literally playing with craft beads and sliding them on the thing. That's kind of cool. Makes no sense thematically. And it's just basically, I'm going to fill this up. Yay! And when someone's done, everyone's like, oh, the game's over. Great. Who won? Count them up. Oh, you got lucky at the end there. You were able to play a card that managed to move some things and get a couple stacks of 5 gems in a row. Yay. No. Just too many problems with this game. There's too many good ones out there. I didn't like this one at all. Dice Tower Judgment, a mess.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!